Alrighty, folks, so today we're going to suffer through some of Bernie Sanders' podcast. Yes, Bernie Sanders, a ridiculous figure of socialism and uselessness. He now has launched a podcast. We're going to go through that.
Hi, this is Senator Bernie Sanders. Last year, along with John Nichols, the great progressive journalist with The Nation magazine, I wrote a best-selling book called It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism.
It's a terrible book.
And it's just been republished in paperback.
Ooh.
If you'd like a copy of the book, please make a donation of $12 or more, or whatever you can afford, to my campaign, and we will get you a copy.
Why not for free? Why not for free? Also, who's the publisher on Bernie Sanders' shitty book? Crown. Yes, I hate corporations, except for Crown, which published my book and makes some money off of it, because they don't do it as a nonprofit. I mean, if it were me, I'd still be selling a pamphlet out of the back of my car while giving it away for free. His book is so fucking stupid, by the way. Just gonna point, I did like a full review of his book maybe a year and a half ago. It is the stupidest thing in the entire world. It's basically old man rants at things. It's like Festivus.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
That's really what it is.
I always tell people that you're easier to work with than people think.
They think I do work.
Surprisingly engaged.
But I don't know what people think. That's the concern.
They all think you're very easy to work with.
Okay.
Sure.
Most people think you don't work at all. So working with you is not really the issue. The issue is like the working, since you are a lazy socialist and have been living off the public dime for literally your entire life, have been on 0 major pieces of legislation, have represented the great state of Vermont, which has 7 white people and an elk. Like you, sir, are just a sterling example of grit and hard work.
One of the striking things about the Biden presidency and the kind of run-up to it was that you had a lot of influence there. You were pushing the president to move toward something attempting to approximate a New Deal.
One of the things, and that's right, John, where Biden does not get the credit that he deserves, is that I think on economic issues, he is prepared to think pretty big.
Yeah, no, I know he is. Like, big inflation, big debt, big spending. By the way, this is so boring. Just aesthetically, it's so boring. It's 2 old men in sweaters jabbering slowly at each other.
That's crazy. No one would watch junk like that.
Like, you just put this shit on and then you're like, oh, I'm going to fall asleep to Bernie Sanders talking to Brillo hair over here about socialism and why America sucks.
In Canada today, if you go into a hospital with a serious illness, you come out 3 weeks later, what is the bill that you pay?
It's a paperwork bill. It's like a couple bucks to make sure the paperwork. It's nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's nothing. And yet they end up managing to spend half as much per capita as we do. Now
they're living long. They're starting to live.
Right.
That's not a comp.
This is such a non-brainer. You have a failing system.
Non-brainer. Makes sense because he's a non-brain.
Which spends twice as much per capita as any other country on earth. You have not heard one program on television talking about this.
No one has talked about Medicare for all. In what world? We had a full-scale debate about this in 2016. We also had a full-scale debate about this in 2010 when they passed Obamacare. The reason Medicare for all is a problem is because you end up with socialized medicine. The problem with socialized medicine is you are not actually in control of the medicine that you receive. Plus, it cuts down on innovation. Plus, it cuts down on supply. Plus, it also prevents people from spending money where they want to spend money to get upscale care, for example.
That sounds awful.
And when he compares the life expectancy in Canada to the life expectancy in the United States, the only way to do a comp that is apples to apples is to take demographically similar composites of the population. He's comparing apples to oranges and then declaring that the oranges are better.
We went to Battle Creek,
Michigan.
Right. And there was a big strike going on there. And I had asked the president to write a letter. And the letter they ended up writing was not the greatest letter in the world, to be honest with you. And I read it, it was being pro-union and all that stuff. It was okay. And people erupted in cheers. What they were saying is, oh my God, the President of the United States knows that there's a strike on here and what we're going through.
I mean, he's basically acknowledging that Joe Biden suckered a bunch of union members, is he not? He's basically saying that Joe Biden gave a wink and a nod at the union members and then they erupted because he was noticing them. Oh, I feel years older than when we began watching these clips. Bernie Sanders is actually only 11 years old. It's just that he is so boring that time has
slowed, and he is now actually 80-something years old.
We'll get to more of this insanity in just 1 second. First, using the internet without ExpressVPN, that's insanity. It's like having a first aid kit, but not having it stocked at all. So most of the time, it's probably fine, but then actually you need it, and then it's not there. Well, every time you connect to an unencrypted network in cafes, hotels, or airports, any hacker on the same network can gain access to your personal data like your passwords and financial details. It doesn't take much technical knowledge to hack somebody, just some cheap hardware is necessary. Hackers can make up to $1,000 per person selling personal information on the dark web. ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, so hackers can't steal your sensitive data. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. I love how easy ExpressVPN is to use. All you need to do is fire up that app, click one button. You're now protected. It works on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more. You can stay secure on the go. Secure your online data today the same way I do. Visit expressvpn.com/BenYT. That's expressvpn.com/BenYT. You can get an extra 3 months for free. It's expressvpn.com/BenYT.
Israel is violating the law. The law is clear, Foreign Assistance Act. Any country that blocks U.S. humanitarian aid is in violation of the law, and they should not continue to get aid.
He's such a liar. Israel is not blocking humanitarian aid. Israel has no one to transfer the humanitarian aid to. They're facilitating the entry of hundreds of trucks every single day into Gaza with 0 hostages coming out. They're facilitating the United States spending our taxpayer dollars building a stupid pier in the Mediterranean because if America tried to actually drive trucks into Gaza and just drop off the aid, Hamas would murder American soldiers. And this moron's out there talking about how Israel is violating the law, so we have to save Hamas. What trash he is, truly.
You know, people say, the backbone of America is small business, right? No, it's not.
Okay.
You have 3 Wall Street investment firms, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, that combined control over $20 trillion in assets. 3 companies.
Okay, so he's mixing up many, many things right here. So he's mixing up where the capital comes from to start a small business.
My father gave me a small loan of $1 million.
That's like saying that small business is not the backbone of the American economy because they get their loans from Bank of America. So actually Bank of America is the backbone of the American economy. Or alternatively, the people who actually run the businesses are the ones who do the hiring and the firing. I'm not in favor of the kind of consolidation that's happened, but that's just ignorant. They work in partnership together. The capital meets with the entrepreneur in order to generate a business. God, he's so stupid. He's economically illiterate, and people take him seriously for no reason I can discern.
Roosevelt expanded and he said, democracy is not just political rights, as important as they are. We're very proud of our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and all of which is terribly important. But he said, you got to go deeper than that. That democracy also means that everybody is entitled.
The f***?
You got our Republican friends very nervous about entitlements. Well, they don't like Social Security and Medicare. That ain't nothing. What we're talking about is much more. As a human being, you are entitled.
That is such a baseline lie, just in life. That you are entitled to someone else's labor. You are entitled to somebody else's work. Entitled to somebody else's goods.
Surprise, motherfucker.
That has nothing to do with democracy, by the way. Democracy is a political guarantee that you will have a say in the future of the country via voting and political rights to actually take part in the governance structure. The left does this all the time. They use democracy not to mean anything. They just mean things I like. They smear it with democracy. That's what they say about Trump. We don't like Trump because he's a threat to democracy. What do you mean? Is he going to get rid of the vote? No, he's a threat to democracy because he's orange and bad and terrible and we hate him. And because people generally like democracy, Democrats and socialists like Bernie Sanders will take democracy and kind of smear it over everything. Go, when I say democracy, what I mean is that we should have socialized healthcare by removing your right to actually buy what you want or to charge what you want as a doctor. That's true democracy. It's like that is such a non sequitur. Or as he might call it, a non-brainer.
You know, if you have $1 billion, you're going to have enough money to leave your family for generations to come. You could do everything you want. You want to live very fancy ways and, you want to buy 10 homes, you can buy 10 homes. You can buy your own jet plane. But you don't need $100 billion.
Well, who does he decide what anyone needs? And by the way, that's not how money works. That's not how money works. This idiot thinks that very rich people have like a Scrooge McDuck vault. And they just keep the cash sitting there for no reason whatsoever. Just sitting there so they can jump in every night and swim in it. That is not how any ultra-rich person treats their wealth. They take all that wealth and they invest it in, say, stocks. Those stocks are a component of a funding mechanism for companies, for things like IPOs, which generate new companies, which generate actual jobs, generate actual wealth, generate actual innovation. Let's be real about this. Every single product that you now consider vital in your life was at one point considered a luxury good. Virtually all of them. Food from foreign countries, once a luxury good. The clothing that you wear, once considered a luxury good. The beauty of the capital markets is that what starts off as a luxury good very quickly becomes cheaper because people start competing in order to provide it more cheaply. Bernie Sanders' glasses were once considered a luxury good. If you go back to the early 1920s, for example, air conditioning was a luxury good. Now it's considered a necessity. But Bernie Sanders doesn't understand basic economics, and he doesn't understand that very often the way people become billionaires is not by stealing money from other people. The way you become a billionaire is by offering goods and services to a broad crowd of people that they wish to pursue. And then the same types of people who provide those goods and services, very often they have good ideas about future innovations, and they invest in those things. You know what you need in order to invest in the production of a product that is risky and where you might lose your money? Money. It's one of the things you require. But this guy's never run a business. He's never run a popsicle stand, and he couldn't. How anyone finds him interesting is beyond me. He's unbelievably boring. He has nothing of importance to say. Everything that he does say is a bumper sticker idiot slogan for people who failed Econ 101. And mainly his appeal seems to be in being an elderly person shouting at the moon about all the things he doesn't like about the world. And if you only listen to him, the completely unsuccessful dullard from Vermont, who's never done a productive day's work in his entire life, if you listen to him, probably all your problems will be fixed. Or alternatively, you could turn off his crap podcast and go do something productive with your life.